Om Namo Narayanaaya. Om Namo Narayanaaya.
Asmat Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Parama Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Sarva Gurubhyo Namaha. So we're continuing on with our beginner's Sanskrit lesson. We're studying a book, Thomas Agenes, part 1 of Sanskrit, Introduction to Sanskrit. And last time we did chapter 15. Now we're going to do chapter 16. So let's go straight to the text. All right. So chapter 16, here's the summary of the chapter. We're going to deal with Sandhi rules in final N. Final N, the dental N. And we're going to do, in grammar, we're going to do nouns ending in AN. Again, dental N. And then we're going to do the imperfect, the root us, and Duanva compounds. So we're going to get into what's called samas or compounds here, and we're going to learn about what are called Duanva compounds. Vocabularies, we're going to introduce nouns ending in an, and maybe some more adjectives. All right. So previously in the last lesson in chapter 15, we talked about the imperfect, and now we're going to go a little bit deeper into it. So now we'll learn the Sandhi rules for when the first word ends in an N. So if you've got two words, we're talking about what's called external Sandhi, which is the Sandhi between the last letter or last letters of a word and the next word, the first letter or letters of the next word, right? So this is what we call external Sandhi. Internal Sandhi would be between the Sandhi or the changes that occur between letters that come together when you add endings or different or different prefixes or suffixes to verbal and noun endings. Okay, so that would be, to make a word, would be the internal Sandhi that occurs there. That's what's called internal Sandhi. So we're talking about external Sandhi here. Okay, so in the majority of cases, it remains unchanged, right? So that's first rule that he's explaining here, is that if the first word ends in dental N and the next word begins with whatever, normally it doesn't change. The chart below contains 8 rules, and he's put A to H here, so I guess that's 8, right? In which the N does change. So for those rules, for each rule, those letters in the alphabet that are in bold represent the first letter of the second word, right? The ones in bold, which causes the change. The letter outside the alphabet are the change that the N undergoes. So see the examples on the following pages. Okay, so a preceding N becomes, right? And a preceding N becomes. Okay, so let's try to sort of understand this. So if we've got, if we have a preceding end becomes, I'm not quite understanding this exactly, becomes a, short and long A in bold, I guess, short and long A. Okay, I see. Preceding end becomes down here nothing, when followed by, when these letters here, a, e, u, ri, ri, a, I, o, ow, ka, ga, ga, nga, the gutturals, right? Then it doesn't change, right? A preceding N becomes double N if preceded by a short vowel. If preceded by a short vowel, preceding N becomes, so it's a very strange way to make a chart here, but anyway, so let's say it becomes Anushwara palatal S, and when it comes before the palatals, it becomes, the N becomes a Anushwara cerebral S when it comes before the cerebrals, and it becomes an anuswara dental S when it comes before the dentals, right? So cerebrals being, palatals being cha cha ja ja nya, cerebrals being ta ta da da na, and dentals being ta ta da da na. Okay, so over here, then again, before it doesn't change, the N at the end of the first word doesn't change when it's followed by the labials, pa pa ba ba ma, or the semivowels, yara la wa. It becomes um, uh, what is that? That's a palatal nya before the s's, either the palatal, the cerebral, or the dental s, right? And ha. These make up a group in Sanskrit called sibilants, right? So now we have here preceding n becomes double n. Okay, so these are the rules. Okay, so this is the rule A, rule B, rule C, rule D. Yeah. Up here we get rule E. Rule E is that the n becomes a double n, right? If preceded by a short vowel. Becomes a double n if preceded by a short vowel. So if you have a word, the first word, right, ends in a dental n, and the preceding vowel is short, a, I, u, re, re, right? A short letter, right? Not a diphthong, not a, I, o, al, which are long, right? Dirgha. If it's hrasva, if it's short, then that n can be doubled, and you see it many times. It's doubled, all right? Doubled. If it's preceded by, looks like, if it's preceded by a short vowel, does it continue to be like that? Okay, so I don't really understand F, what he means by F. It becomes nya when it's followed by what? Only jajanya, or I think I see. So he should have, it seems like he should have put a straight line down here, because it looks like A, B, C, D only deal with these letters, ka, ka, cha, cha, ta, 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 pa, pa. And over here we're dealing with jajanya. So if we get jajanya coming in the beginning of the second word, then the preceding n at the end of the first word turns to a palatal n. And if they are these cerebral da da na, then it becomes a cerebral n. So that's E, F, G, and H. H is if you have the second word beginning with a semivowel, then apparently it becomes anuswara with an L. Anuswara with an L, like that. So that's a very interesting sort of, didn't explain that chart very well, and I haven't explained it very well. So we'll have, let's see if we get more into that later. Okay, so anyway, so that's 205. We get 205 here. Okay, 206. We have here's some examples of these rules, of these 8 rules. Okay, good. So this will show us definitely. So we have here tasmin, right? So in each of these cases, the first word is going to end with a dental N, and the second word is going to change that due to its difference. Okay, so we got tasmin followed by cha. Tasmin cha, right? So up here we see, right, cha, right? So it should become a palatal S, an anushwa with a palatal S. Becomes tasmin's cha. Yeah. Naran, right? Cha becomes naran cha, right? So we have then we have An example of B is we have naran da becomes naramshta, and you see the end becomes anashwar with a cerebral when followed by a cerebral in the next word. So then we have rule C, naran tatra. Naran tatra becomes naramsh tatra, right, with a dental S, because it's followed by a dental. The T here, ta, in the beginning of tatra, is dental. So it makes the N in naran turn into anashwara with a dental S, right? Then we have naran shobhante. Naran shobhante becomes naran shobhante. Oh, I see. So you have, okay, so you have, not only does the N at the end of naran turn into a powerful N, right? But also the sho, becomes cho, right? Also this palatal S turns to a palatal CH, okay? Or rarely, naran plus shobhante could also be, this is a second different way of doing it, naran sobhante. So shobhante remains the same. It could remain the same, right? It could remain the same, but normally it'll change into a aspirated palatal ch, hard aspirated palatal. Okay, so we have rajan atra becomes, this is an example in E of a short vowel, right? Is it a short vowel or is it just a short A preceded by a short vowel? Okay, because forgive me up here, but this is also a short vowel here, right? A short vowel. Yeah, we'll have to work some more about that. Okay, so rajan atra. Okay, so rajan atra, right? The causes the N to double, or is it preceded or preceding? Preceded by a short vowel. Okay, preceding N, yeah, preceded by a short vowel. Okay, so we have naran. Where were we up to? Here we go. Now rajan atra becomes rajan with two N's, atra, and we have naran, right, which is a long vowel, right, long A, N, then atra. That doesn't happen. So here's an example of E happening and an example of E not happening. Okay, so then we have F. We have naran jayati. Naran jayati becomes, you would think, because the J in jayati is palatal, so the N will turn palatal, will become palatal. Narang jayati. Okay. Now, then we have naran da becomes naran da. So because the next word begins in a cerebral, the dental N at the end of the first word will change into a cerebral as well. Okay, so now we have the last rule, naran labate. Naran labate. So because it's followed by L, right, in the next word, L is one of the semivowels, right, up here. Semivowels, yara lava, right? It becomes anashwara with an L. Anashwara with an L. So we have narang and L, and in basically there's going to be a doubling of the L here. Yep. Yeah. Okay. So there's examples of those rules. So now, so that's all for Sunday. So now in the grammar, here's a declension of nouns ending in yeah, it's a little confusing. I think he needs to make a better I'll make a better table that'll explain it better. like that. I think he tried to fit too much in a small chart, and he has made it too complicated to make it easy to understand. But we'll write them out, and we'll explain each one of them again. So here is the declension of nouns ending in an. Okay, so up until now, we've had a ending nouns, we've had I ending nouns, we've had u ending nouns. We've had, I believe we've had feminine and neuter nouns in ending in different vowels. Now we're getting nouns ending in an, not in a, but in an. So we have Rajan, which is the stem, and we have Atman, which is so king and self. So Atman means self or soul, spirit, right? And Rajan means king. And we also have so Maharajan would be the great king, right? So now we have the declension. Okay, so declension of an ending nouns. The nominative: Raja, Rajanao, Rajanaha. Accusative: Rajanam, Rajanao, Ragnyaha. Right? He's also written here Atmanaha. Right? So again, he's trying to fit too much into one chart. What we should do is we should write out the full declension of Rajan and the full declension of Atman. So for Raja, it would be Raja, Rajanao, Rajanaha, Rajanam, Rajanao, Ragnyaha, right? And for Atman, it would be Atmana, Atmana, Atmanao, Atmanaha, Atmanam, Atmanao, Atmanaha, right? And then so wherever he's put Atmana, he's written Atman. He means that it goes the same as Rajan, except in these places. So in accusative plural, it's different from Rajan. In instrumental singular, it's different from Rajan. So that's why he's put it here. So we've got Ragnya, Atmana, Rajabhyam, Rajabihi. So that will be Atmabhyam, Atmabihi. Then we've got Ragnye, Atmane, Rajabhyam, Rajabhyaha. So that will be Atmabhyam, Atmabhyaha. And we have Ragyaha, Atmanaha, Rajabhyam, Rajabhyaha. That would also be Atmanabhyam, Atmanabhyaha. Then we've got genitive. We've got Ragyaha, Atmanaha, Ragnyoho, Atmanoho, Ragyam, Atmanam. Then locative, Ragi, Atmani, Ragnyo, Atmanoho, Rajasu. And then we have vocative, Rajan, Rajanao, and Rajanaha. Okay, so that will be Atmanan. So what do we get? Atmanan, right? Atman. So Atman, Atmanao, Atmanaha. Okay. So note that the only difference between Rajan and Atman is that since the TMN combination cannot occur, Atman always keeps the A before the N. Okay, the short A before the N. Sometimes that A may be long. If so, the form is considered strong. The neuter is similar to the masculine. Okay, so let's have a look at that again. He wants to point out that when there's a strong form or a long A in coming before the N in Rajan, that the Atman doesn't follow suit. It always keeps a short A. So does that happen anywhere here? Well, okay. That's a little different here, but anyway. Yeah, I'm not quite understanding exactly what he means by that, but that's all right. Just go with it. Okay, so the neuter is similar to the masculine. The neuter is similar to the masculine. Naman means name. Okay, so Naman means name. And so here, those two above, Rajan and Atman, right, are masculine an ending nouns. And here we have a neuter an ending noun. So we have nama, nominative nama, namni, or namani. So sometimes you get two forms, and so those are just forms that either one can be used, right? So nama, namni, namani, namani. Accusative, nama, namni, namani, namani. Then we have instrumental, namna, namabhyam, namabhyam, namabihi, name, namne, namabhyam, namabhyaha, namnaha, namabhyam, namabhyaha, namnaha, namnoho, namnoho, namnam, and namni, namani, namnoho, namasu, and vocative, naman, nama, namni, namani, namani. Okay, so now we have, that is an nouns. So we've learned masculines and neuters. Well, so okay, so no feminines. Okay, so here is the imperfect of us. Now, us is a verb to be, I believe. So we've got third person, second person, first person, singular, dual, and plural. So asit, astam, asan, asihi, astam, asta, asam, ashva, asva, asma. Not ashva, that will be a horse. Okay, so asva, asma. Right, remember that these are not endings. This is the entire verb. This is the entire verb used quite often. So, right. And that's the imperfect. Okay, so past tense. Now we're talking about compounds. Now we'll begin our study of compounds. The word for compound in Sanskrit is samasa. So Sanskrit has several different types of compounds, which are members joined together, words joined together to create a single unit. In Devanagari, compounds are written without a break. So if you ever see a long string of words and they're put together without a break, it may be that it's one word, it's a compound, and it's to be parsed or to be understood as a single compound. So with transliteration, in this text, the members of a compound are joined by hyphen when Sandhi permits. So when Sandhi permits, Sandhi may not permit, but whenever Sandhi allows for us to break the words up in a compound, in this text, he's going to separate those words with a hyphen. So for an example here, ekavachana, which we know means singular, right? We have ekavachana, dvivachana, bahuvachana, singular, dual, and plural. These are the numbers in Sanskrit. Oh, okay, so eka means one, vachana means that is spoken about or whatever. So ekvachana, singular. So you see in the Devanagari, it's all in one letter. It's all in one word. It's all put together. There's no breaks in the Devanagari. But in the transliteration, he's put a hyphen here. Eka vachana. That doesn't mean it's two words. It's one word. It's one word. It's a compound. Eka vachana. So okay. So nominal compounds join nouns, adjectives, and pronouns. Right. So nouns, adjectives, and pronouns. These are all declined in Sanskrit. All pretty much declined in same way. So they are usually put by taking the base form, nara, pala, etc. Right. So without the ending, and putting them together using Sandhi rules. So generally, only the last member is declined. the prior members having lost, and the Paninian term for lost is luk, L-U-K, of case ending sup. So case ending is called sup. In the Panini Sutra, all those endings that you put onto all the nouns are put together, and the class, the set of those endings is called sup in Panini sup. The set of nominal endings is called sup. The set of verbal endings is called ting. So there's a Paninian sutra, sup ting antam padam. Padam, a word, is that which has sup or ting at the end of it. So it's either a verb or a noun. And if it's a noun, it has some sup at the end of it. If it's a verb, it has ting at the end of it. Okay, sup ting antam padam is the sutra. Okay, so he's saying I don't know why he's introducing these Paninian terms, but he is. Okay, so you don't have to remember that. But in any case, basically what he's saying in this sentence, last sentence here, is he's saying that when you put a bunch of words together and make them into a compound word, usually you just take the base form of each word and put them together. Maybe they'll be Sunday, maybe not. And at the end, only the last word to the right at the end of the compound is declined, right? Has an ending on it. The rest of them don't have it, and you have to, when you parse it, you have to figure out what the endings would be if for the particular meaning of the compound. This is called parsing a compound, understanding what it is. So now we're going to look at one type of compound. The first type of compound that we'll study, right, is a Duanva, right? Duanva compound. The word Duanva, or a Duanva, is related to the word dual in a series of items, equal items that would normally be joined by and. So far we have used certain words like and or to join things. So for example, we say, Sita and Rama would be Sita Rama Cha, or Sita Cha Rama Cha, right? So that's how we would say Sita and Rama. But if we want to simply say Sita and Rama together, right, and make Sita Ram the couple, Sita and Rama, a couple as a compound, then we will write them as Sita and Rama. We can write as a compound, and the Duanva compound of Sita and Rama is Sita Ramau. Sita Ramau. So, in case you didn't follow that, the reason why, okay, so what have we done? We've taken Sita, right? And we've added it to Rama. And then Rama has an ending, but the ending on the end of Rama is not Ramaha, which would be the nominative singular, right? So if we say Sita Ramaha Cha, right? Without Sandhi, right? But if we put Sita and Rama together, we're saying they're a couple, there's two things. So we have to put a dual case ending on it. So in this case, the nominative, it might also be accusative, right? Sita Ram, see, because we have Ramaha, Ramal, Ramaha, Ramam, Ramal, Raman. So either in nominative or accusative, the dual case is Ramal, two, the dual, right? So when there's two, Sita Rama becomes Sita Ramal in nominative and accusative, right? Okay, so that's why the ow there instead of Ramaha, right? All compounds may undergo an analysis, Vigraha, which is how the word would appear if the compound were dissolved. This is what we call parsing, or he says Vigraha, analysis of the compound, right? So we've just made this Sita and Rama compound, Sita Ramal. So Sita Ramal, the Vigraha, or the analysis of it is, if we break it apart, it's Sita Ramaha Cha. Ramaha Cha with Sandhi is Ramashcha, right? Visarga Sandhi, Shore Visarga followed by a palatal C becomes palatal S, right? So Sita Ramashcha. is how we would break that apart. So, for example, if we see this in a sloka, if we see Sita Rama, right, then in the word for word, we would put Sita Ramascha. Or we might break it even further and we might say Sita Rama Cha. Sita Sita, Rama Rama, Cha and. Like that. Anyway, the initial analysis is Sita Ramascha. That's what it is. Now the Duanva above is called a specific type of Duanva. So we've understood this Duanva or dual compound. We have two things in a dual compound: Sita, Rama, Krishna, Balaram, horses and elephants, like that. It's supposed to be between two things who have equal rights in the compound, right? And this is specifically called an Iterator Dvandva, because it names its members in a distributive sense. So we have to see 13 to understand what that means. In it, the last member is in the dual because two persons are named, which is what I just explained. Okay, so it's called Iterator Dvandva, right? And we're going to come up to exactly what that means. So 9, for more than two persons, if more than two persons are named, the last member is in the plural. Okay, so we understand this, right? So if we have Sita, singular, one Sita, and Rama, singular, one Rama, and we put them together, we have two persons. So we put that compound Sita Ram Mao in the dual case. We add the dual ending to it. Here, if we have another one, this one is we have Acharyaha, right? Acharya. So we have Acharyaha, we take off the Visarga and get the base form Acharya. We add it onto Shishaha. Shishaha is plural. We have the teacher and we have the students. So we have the teacher and we have more than, well, it can't be two students because it's in the plural, right? Shishaha means three or more students. So the teacher with three or more students is going to be plural. Even the teacher with two students, even if it was Shishao, right? Acharya Shishao would become three, and therefore it would become plural. So teachers and students, the teacher and students. When we analyze it, this Dvandva compound, Acharya Shishyaha, is the compound. When we analyze it, we break it apart. We get Acharyaha, singular nominative, and we get Shishyaha, plural nominative plural, yeah, which becomes shishas by the same Sandhi rule that we had before. The visarga coming before the palatal C turns into a palatal S, right? So we break it up. We've got acharyaha, one teacher, shishas, three or more students, cha, and. That's what the analysis of acharya shishyaha is. So I think that's clear. We have to count how many there are in a Dvandva compound, how many people it's talking about, or how many things it's talking about, and we have to put the appropriate number ending on, either singular, dual, or plural. It can't be singular, obviously. So we're going to have a lot of duals and plurals, right? Obviously, because it's not going to be singular because it's a compound. There's going to be at least two. So, okay, so now Dvandva with three members, a Dvandva with three members is always plural, as I said, right? So here we have the Acharya Shishyaha. It can't be just one Acharya, one teacher and one student. Because if it was, it wouldn't be Acharya Shishyaha. It would be Acharya Shishyao, just as we have Sita Ramao. Yeah. Okay, so we know that there's at least two students with this acharya. Just by looking at that compound, we can say this is a teacher with at least two students. Yeah. Okay, so because they have to make three, otherwise there wouldn't be that plural ending. Now the Duanva with 3 members is always plural. For example, here we have Ashva, Gaja, Mrigaha. Ashvaha, Gajaha, Mrigaha, right? Now, it means there could be one horse, 1 elephant, and 1 deer, but put them together in a group and you've got 3 animals. So therefore you have to put at the end long a visarga, which is the plural nominative ending of a ending nouns, which they're all a ending nouns. So Ashva, Gaja, Mrigaha. The analysis is, that's one compound, a Duanva compound. The analysis is Ashvaha, which turns to Ashvo before Gaja, right? By Sandhi, Visarga Sandhi. Gajaha, which turns to Gajo before Mrigas, and Mrigaha cha, Mrigas cha. Now, it could, he's written here Ashvo Gajo Mrigashcha. It doesn't have to be Mrigashcha. It can be short a powerful s, right? Also, it could be just one. It could be just 1 deer. Here, the way he's broken it out is we've got 1 horse, 1 elephant, right? Ashvaha is one horse. Gajaha is 1 elephant. Mrigaha is 3 deer. Yeah. So the minimum that this that the analysis he's given here is 5. But what he's actually saying up here is it needs only be 3, right? So when he's broken it apart, it's interesting. Whenever he's broken it apart here, he's broken it apart and he hasn't changed the number of the ending of the last form, the last thing. So here, when he broke it apart, he's given a long ending shishas. Shishas means plural. There must be 3 students. Right. What I'm saying is that this, in my opinion, and I might be wrong here, and I might have to ask my Sanskrit teacher about this, but in my opinion, Acharya Shishyaha could be a teacher with only 2 students, making a total of 3. But he's saying here that if I break it up, I've got one teacher, and I have to have 3 or more students. Here we've got Ashva, Gaja, and Mrigaha. Ashva, Gaja, Mrigaha, and he's kept the plural ending on Mrigaha here. So again, this turns into 1 horse, 1 elephant, and 3 or more deer. Yeah. So I'm going to talk to my Sanskrit teacher about that and see if when you do an analysis of this type of compound, you must. I mean, it might be another interpretation to say that this could be. This is what I'm going to ask him. Ashva, Gaja, Mrigaha. Could it be one horse, one elephant, and 1 deer? Because still you have to put the plural number there. Anyway, let's see. I think I'm right, but he may be right for some reason. Anyway, the gender. To me, that's the way it works logically. Anyway, the gender is determined by the last item named. The gender is determined by the last item named because the last item is going to have the ending on it. So, for example, we can say, instead of saying Sita, right? Sita Ram, instead of saying Sita Ramao, we can say Ram Sita. So if we put Sita at the end, feminine word at the end, then Sita Site. Right? Radha Radhe, right? So Sita Site. So Site is the dual. So it would be Rama Site. So you can change it. You can say Sita Ram in 2 different ways. You can say Rama and Sita, or you can say Sita and Rama. So when you say Rama and Sita, when you put Sita as the last word in the compound, then you have to put a feminine dual ending on it. Site, Rama Site. And the analysis of Rama Sita is Ramaha Sita Cha. Rama and Sita. Same as Sita Ramal. Exactly the same, except the ending of this is a, and the ending of that is ow, because the ow ending is a dual nominative and accusative of A ending masculine nouns, and the E ending is the nominative and accusative dual ending of long A ending feminine nouns. Yeah. Okay. So the first member is in its stem form. In its stem form, basic form, even if it refers to something plural. Even if it refers to something plural, because of this, there is sometimes ambiguity. Okay, so this is where he's getting to what I was talking about. There can be ambiguity. So, for example, because of this, there's sometimes ambiguity concerning whether a member is singular, dual, or plural. For example, acharyaha shishyaha means teacher and students, right? The students, teacher and students, right? So he's saying he's saying exactly what I was saying. So this could be analyzed as one teacher and students, plural students, right? Or it could be at least there's one teacher and two students, or it could be two teachers and one student, or it could be teachers and students. They both could be plural. Now, you're only putting the plural ending on the end. So you know that the total number of people in this the total number of things in the compound is 3 or more, because it's got a plural ending on it. But you don't know which one is what number. So it could be multiple teachers and multiple students, as in the last analysis, right? It could be 2 teachers and 1 student at least, or it could be many teachers and 1 student, or it could be 1 teacher and at least 2 students, or many students. Yeah, that's right. So you must judge correctly the correct translation by the context. So you have to judge it by the context. So if you're reading a story about, and some sage comes with 2 students, and there's a compound about the sage and the 2 students, right, or the teacher and 2 students, then you know it's like that. If there's but the same compound could be used if the sage or the teacher came with 10,000 students, and we would use exactly the same compound, because it can be many students. Okay, so so you must judge by the correct translation by the context, and in most contexts, the first example would be what is meant by the teacher and students, right? In the first example would be what is meant by the teacher and the students. Okay, so what he's saying is, in most cases, in most contexts, when it's not clear, analyze the last member of a Duanva compound that is dual or plural, or at least not dual, because dual they're equal, right? There's just only two members, but when there's more than 2 members, right? Analyze the last one as either dual or plural, and the first one as being singular. So otherwise, so he's saying if there's no context, he would translate acharya shishyaha as the one teacher with the 2 or more students. If he wanted to mean, and there was no context to understand it, if he wanted to mean that there were many teachers, right, plural teachers and singular student, what he would do is turn it around, and he would say shishya acharyaha. Instead of acharya shishyaha, he'd say shishya acharyaha, and therefore that to him would mean that there were more teachers. Okay, so that's without context. Otherwise, in context, you could use both of them as the same. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so 13, there is an additional kind of Duanva called a samahara. Okay, above we learned about an Iterator Duanva compound, right? And we might find there might be an English word for this, but anyway, it's a type of Duanva compound, dual compound. So this one is called a samahara. in which the ending is always singular and neuter. So you might ask at this point, how can we have a compound with two or more things in it, right? And yet the ending that you put on it, which we just said should reflect the number of things that we're putting together in the compound, should reflect that and be the dual or plural, like in Sitaram or Sitaramau or in Acharya Shishyaha, right? So how is it that now we're talking about another type of compound, Duanva compound, where we put a bunch of things together and somehow we put a singular neuter ending on the end? Okay, the members are referred to collectively as a single unit, right? A single unit. So, for instance, I might say the divine Radha Krishna, the divine couple. So, couple in English is a singular noun. If I have more than one couple, if I have Sitaram, Lakshmi Narayan, and Radha Krishna, they're three couples. There's plural couples. But if I have only one of them, which means two personalities, I refer to that couple, those two personalities, as a singular couple. So here, what we're saying here is if the members of that group refer to a collective unit, if I say the army, obviously the army is made up of many, many soldiers, hundreds or thousands of soldiers. But the army, the word the army, is going to be a singular word. Maybe there are two or more armies, right? The two armies were fighting, right? So that's dual. Three armies were fighting, right? He sent 3 brigades into battle. So that's plural. So army can be singular, dual, and plural, but a singular army may have many, 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 many men in it. And obviously more than one army has much more men. All right. So we're talking about grouping things together in a set, and that's called a samahara Duanva. So the members are referred to collectively as a single unit. The meaning of the individual members is not as important as the collective sense of the whole compound. Often pairs of opposites are put in some samahara Duanva form. Okay, so let's have a look at that. So we see this very often in Sanskrit. We see sukha dukkha, sita ushna, sitoshna, sukha dukkha da, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, right? So sukha dukkha. Sukha means happiness, dukkha means suffering. So we have here sukha dukkham. Sukha dukkham is how you make that. It's a samahara dvandva samas or compound. So the analysis of sukha dukkham, right? Singular neuter ending, like remember our neuter nouns, we started with vanam vane vanani, vanam vane vanani, right? So we have sukha dukkham, only the second word has the ending, right? And if we break it and by analysis, it becomes sukham and dukkham cha. Sukham dukkham cha. Okay, very simple. So that's a second type of Duanva samas, right? Dualistic samas. So we have the two dualist compounds, the Iterator and the samahara. Okay, so now we have 14. Words ending in an, short a, dental n, right? Usually act in compound-like words that end in short a, right? So for example, we have this word that we just learned for the self or the soul, right? Atman, right? Or Brahman. There's many examples. Okay, so is often reduced to Atma. Yeah, when it's put in a compound, when it's prior to the last member of the compound. Yeah. Some words such as Rajan take the A ending as a prior member and also as the last member even. So although Rajan is an AN ending noun, it's not an A ending noun. It's not Raja, it's Rajan. If you look it up in the dictionary, it'll be Rajan. It won't be Raja, right? But even though that's right, when we put it in a compound, right, then it's going to take an A ending, like a masculine A ending. It will take an A ending as a prior member, but also as the last member of the compound. For example, okay, so we have Raja Ramao. Raja Ramao means Raja means the king. Rama means Rama. So Raja Ramao means the two of them. It means the king and Rama. We do the analysis of this. It's Rajaha. It's not Rajaha, excuse me. It's Rajan. Rajan, right? But it loses the N, becomes the base form when we make it into a compound with another word coming after it, Ramaha. And because there are two things in the Duanva compound, it becomes dual. So Ram, just like Sita Ramao, it becomes Raja Ramao. It means the king and Rama. Now, if we have Rama Rajao, instead of having Raja Ramao, having Rama Rajao and changing the order of the words, right? So Rama is Ramaha. The analysis of Rama is Ramaha plus Rajan. But it doesn't stay Rajan. Somehow or other, it's an example of when Rajan becomes now Rajao. So instead of being declined as an an ending noun, this compound, which is ending in an an ending noun, the an ending now is now going to act like an a ending, a short a ending masculine, and it's going to have this. It's going to have the dual ending, nominative or accusative, right? Raja, Rama, Rajao, just like Sita Rama. Okay. I hope that's clear. Okay, so now a negative compound. So this is a different thing. So we have another type of compound is negating, or the negative compound. It's called nan, or negative samas. Or negative compound. We just think of it, right? So a noun can be negated by placing a short a before it. For example, we have vidya. Vidya, it's a feminine long a ending word, right? Which means knowledge. If we want to say ignorance or the opposite of knowledge, lack of knowledge, right? Then we simply put a short a as a prefix to vidya. So this is also, I think when we dealt with upasargas, but that was for verbs. Here we're doing it with nominal compounds, with nouns. So if we put a short a before it, becomes avidya. Avidya means ignorance. Okay, so now we have a gerund. If we remember the gerund, having done something, right? So a gerund is also negated with a short a, right? So if we put before, so remember we have this word gatva, right? Right, gatva means to go. So agatva means having not gone. So gatva means having gone. Agatva means not having gone, or having not gone. So if the gerund begins with short a and there is no prefix, if the gerund begins, gerund's a verbal form. So if the gerund begins with a short a and there's no prefix, means upasarga, right? The ending is twa. For example, gatva becomes agatva. Having gone becomes not having gone. Right, it negates it. So if a word begins with a vowel, right, then instead of putting just the short a in front of as a prefix to negate something, you have to put an a and a dental n, an. You negate it by putting an as a prefix. So for example, we have this word here, ditva. Uditva. Uditva means having spoken. If we put an a before it to negate it, a and u would make some sort of vowel sandhi, and that would be strange. So instead of that, we have to put an. So we put anuditva. It's very much like in English, I will give you an example that we say a chair, but we say an elephant. So when the word in English starts with a vowel, we have an apple, an elephant, right? But we have a chair or a door, right? So in the case of chair and door, they begin with vowels. And so we say a, right? A door, a chair. But in the case of, this is how you can remember it also. It's the same in Sanskrit. When we have a word beginning with a vowel, so for instance, elephant or apple, right? We say an elephant and an apple, right? Like that. So this is a rule that we can remember just like that, because in English we do a similar thing, but it's not for negating anything. It's with this word that or an that we use in English. But in the same thing, when we use or an in Sanskrit to negate things by adding it to a vowel form, to a verbal form here, then we or noun or a verbal form like a form like a gerund, right? Which is sort of like a noun. So then it's a participle, right? So then we get anuditva, not having spoken. All right, so that's the lesson. Now let's look quickly at the vocabulary. So we have Atma. He's put here Atma, right? The self. Usually has a capital S. You would put a capital S if the Atma can mean mind, body, soul. It can also mean the supreme. So he's taking Atma as being the supreme. And so he says, usually when you translate it, write self with a capital S. And maybe that's to distinguish it from self with a lowercase s, as just a regular, if somebody's talking about myself, they're actually talking about the self, the internal self or the soul, or the supreme self, Paramatman, right? So anyway, Atma. And it says here follows the an declension. So you note that when an ending nouns are given to you, sometimes they're given like this without the n on the end. So it's just given as Atma, then meaning self, then karma, right? Also is an an declension. So the word is actually karman. So Atman, karman, right? He's then Krishna. Krishna means black, but Krishna is in masculine. It's a short a ending. If you want to use it as an adjective, right? If you want to use it as an adjective, then it's going to be ending in a short a. If you want to use it as or a long a, the short a ending Krishna will be used for masculine and neuter adjective to describe something as black. And when you want to describe it as feminine, right, black, something feminine black, then you have to, if you want to put a feminine ending on it, use long a. Okay, so that's why it says M, F, and N here. The F, however, when you use the adjective Krishna, meaning black, with a female word, right? Because the female word doesn't necessarily mean it has to be a female thing, but it's a word that's just in the feminine. It ends. It's a female long a ending word, right? Then you have to put the same female ending on the adjective, right? The adjective has to agree with number, gender, and case to the noun which it describes, which it goes with. The adjectives always agree in number, gender, and case to the nouns they describe. Okay, so when we're using Krishna as an adjective, now the next thing is we have Krishnaha. So we don't want to confuse these things. We have Krishna or Krishna used as an adjective up here. That's why it puts adj, adjective. Here we have Krishna used as a masculine noun. In fact, it's what we call a personal pronoun. It's a name of a personality called Lord Krishna, right? So here it is, Krishnaha. Krishnaha means Krishna, and he's put capital K here, Krishna. So not to be confused, all right? Then we have nama, neuter, also ends in an. Yes, then we learned how to decline that. Then we have priya. Priya again is an adjective. Adjectives are just like nouns, but they're able to go with many different subjects which they describe. Okay, in Sanskrit they can be therefore declined in all three genders, right? Masculine, feminine, and neuter. So when you describe when you decline priya, you can decline depending on what subject it's going with, right? You can decline masculine, feminine, and neuter in the same way as Krishna, right? When it's describing a female noun, right? It has a long a ending. Yeah. So either priya, short a, or priya, right? So for example, I'll give you an example. Okay, so priya Rama, priya Ramaha, right? Dear Rama, beloved Rama, right? Whereas Radha, right, ends in a long a, right, as a feminine word. So priya Radha, right? So it has to be, you have to put a long a on the priya if it's describing Radha. And so that also that you might normally you're going to get the adjective coming right before the noun that it describes, but in the case that you don't, in some scenario in a sloka or in Sanskrit, then you have to look at the endings and see which noun does this adjective describe. If it's an adjective, right, it should come right before the noun that it describes, and therefore it should agree in number, gender, and case to that noun. Yeah. Okay. So now we have Ramaniya, right? Another adjective, again following the same rule that it's a short a in masculine and neuter, declined in short a, declined in long a if it's used in the feminine, right? Pleasant, Ramaniya. Okay. Then we have Raja, which again follows the an declension. It's masculine, so Rajan. Right? We have Shukla again means white. It's we had black, now we have white. Okay, Krishna, black, Shukla, white. And again, it's an adjective which can be declined in all these three genders, and short a for masculine and neuter, and long a for feminine. So now we have Shobana, meaning another adjective, shining, bright, and beautiful. The difference here is that we have for the masculine and the neuter, we have it's declined in like short a, masculine, short a, neuter, and nouns, right? In the feminine, it can be declined as either a long a feminine or a long I feminine. So either could be there.
Om Namo Narayana